Welcome back. So we're live again for Wealth Building Wednesdays. I hope some of you are starting to see some of these videos and maybe it's making some questions come to mind. Maybe there's some things that you hadn't thought about before. We're going through our major tenets or the major stages in the cycle of, becoming wealthy, becoming financially free, building wealth. Some fun things happened this week. One, we had someone come in and speak to our team about different things related to things you need to think about when building wealth and creating a scenario where you're going to be passing on, income or generational wealth, I should say, to future generations, or even gifting the wealth that you build to things that are important to you. I know I have this fantastic assistant who absolutely loves pets and has a big heart for pets. So maybe one day she'll build up some great big resource to be able to help out pets. Me, myself, I'm very big on children, and that is a cause near and dear to my heart because there are plenty of kids out in the world who are either being put in tough situations or getting information that is not good for them. And they're using that information to go about the life that they live, and maybe it's not successful. So maybe we can figure out a way to get more education to these kids. That costs money, So one of the things about building wealth, a lot of people have weird interactions with the idea around building wealth and what it means to them, and how it affects how they process this whole process of becoming wealthy. But really, wealth magnifies who we are. It magnifies what we care about. Some people, for instance, are people who are really into looks, so they spend their money on looks. Some people are really into experiences, so they spend their money on experiences. And you can tell by the qualities of their life where they value things the most because their money goes there. Some people care about, building wealth for their future generations, their kids, or for their causes. What's also true is wealth is not only money, it is also time. We talked a lot about our first few steps, and I want to review them. One is to earn money. The other is to learn how to keep money. The next stage that we're going to be talking a lot about today is how to grow money. So, in the process of thinking through growing money, you've got to really come to a place, and our financial consultant who came and spoke to our team yesterday, you've got to think about why you are going to grow money, because the why really matters. I've found that it is very difficult for me to really care about money, believe it or not. What I care about are the things that I want to do with money. And maybe you're somewhat similar to me. And I found that if I do not care about the things that I want to do with the money enough, I will not take the actions to do those things. Now, for those of you who have joined, I'm looking at two different cameras, so you'll occasionally see me look away. And that's because we want these to appear, in a couple different formats. But we're talking about growing money. And in the process of growing money, first you've got to learn how to earn money. And I sat down with someone yesterday. We had a financial consultant come in and speak to our team. And then I sat down with somebody who was interested in buying a house, but still needed to do some work on their situation. And, in that way, although I am not a financial advisor, I am a person who has done in my own life, built up some sense of financial means. And in that way of building up financial means, I try to help as many people as I can. And I sat down with her to go over a situation just to remind her that you are never not in business. This person was a healthcare worker, and I told her the first thing you need to understand is that you too are in business. You have a business. You're just unaware. You keep letting people call you an employee. You're never just an employee. You are actually a business owner. The second piece is learning how to keep money. Keeping money is important because it comes in, but it also goes out. And you have to learn how to keep some of that in your house, right? In order for you to be able to grow it, you've got to learn to be able to keep it. And that means learning to place your money into what's important to you. And if growing money, if you don't have a reason why you should grow money already sectioned out, you will not find that important, and your money will continue to go to those other sources, right? I found in my own life that where I put my time and my money are in things that matter to me. And right now for me, a big piece is family. It's family. It's making sure I'm creating whole and healthy kids. It's also making sure that my intimate relationship is kept head of the class, and that way, we are constantly creating peace and love and a nurturing environment for each other, which, by the way, passes on to our kids. So I invest my time and my money into my family. But I also have to think about there's a future day where I may not be able to expend the same amount of effort, the same amount of energy. I may not be as passionate about something, and maybe I need a break to think through my new venture. And in order to do that, you want to be in a situation where you're growing money and you have sources of income that are coming in. So we're going to dive into that a little bit today. Reviewing some of what we said in earning money, you are a business. Your household is your business. You have income and you have expenses. Therefore, you are a business. That is all you need. That is the basics of business. You provide a service to someone that is out in the marketplace that needs your service, and they pay you. They give you money. So that person is no longer your boss. It's no longer your job. That is your customer. And when you think of it that way, you begin to think of something different. Because I remember my mother used to she used to tell me to do something, and I felt some kind of way. I always felt differently when she asked me to do something, right? It's a weird occurrence. If she says, go do this, I felt some kind of way about it as a kid. Maybe some of you had that similar experience. But if she says, hey, can you do this for me? I would always want to do it. Because the way she asked, it was the words, it was the language. So it's important that you understand what you call your boss today is no longer your boss. What you call your boss is your customer. And this is important to our grow money piece, right? Because in order to grow our money, let's just say, for instance, if you're working a 9 to 5 and you have one customer, which is what you've been calling your boss all this time, the way to grow money there is to get better at the service you provide and acquire new skills to be able to, say, for instance, get an increase in the amount that customer is willing to pay you. And that customer is willing to pay you based on the value you provide to that customer. If you are not providing enough value, that customer will not give you more money, or they won't give you any money at all. When we go in and we think, my boss making me do this, it already puts you in a state of mind where you are already less willing to provide more value. But when you have the appropriate mentality and you think of that place that you go and the person that you're working with as your customer, you are in control of what you decide to give and provide. And this is an important tenet to understand, because in order to grow your money, you have to be in control. You have to be in control of the income that is coming out. You have to determine what happens with the money that is, the income that's coming in, and you have to determine what is happening to the money that goes out and where the money is going to be placed. I've been in some very tough and tight situations. In fact, I'm in real estate. As many of you know, you're on a real estate page right now. I had to weather a recession in the middle of real estate. And that is where I had to learn a lot of hard lessons about some of the things that we're talking about. I grew up middle class, coming from a place where most people had jobs. I knew almost no people who actually had businesses. So nobody could teach me these tenets that I am trying to spread, that I have learned from people teaching me and from me having to grow an understanding of, which is, in order to grow money, you have to take control of your money. You have to be very conscious about what's happening, and you have to watch your language. So let's talk about some of the simple, direct things you can do to grow your money. Most people will want me to start with investing in businesses or stocks or bonds or real estate because I'm a real estate agent. But that would be the wrong place to start. The first place in which you grow your business is by investing in yourself. I remember I was in the middle of real estate, in the middle of a recession that started in real estate, and it was incredibly painful because I had only been in real estate in this new place of Atlanta where I sit now for about 4 years. So I knew virtually no one, and it was a very tough situation. I had started and been in the business for 2 to 3 years. Most businesses don't even make it past 2 years, let alone 5 years. And I was pretty much queued up to be one of those people, one of those businesses, except I'm me, and I wasn't going to let that happen. I had to go to this training, and going to this training, there was a guy who was probably much older than me, white-haired guy, and I sit down and I'm talking to him because I ask questions to the people around me. I seek mentorship. I seek information. And so I'm asking the guy, says, have you been through something like this before? He says, oh, I've been through about 4 or 5 of these. See, it was new to me because I was young. But for people who've been here before, going through a recession was not a new thing. And I said to him, what can you tell me about how to go through this thing? And he said, son, because I'm in the South, he said, what I can tell you is the people that go get smarter will come out better than all of these people. Invest in yourself, invest in your education, and use your education to turn your education into more money. Okay? Provide more value. You have to learn how to provide more value. So the first place you invest is in yourself. There are so many people that I know when I tell them the amount of money that I spend going to a seminar or a conference to go get educated and learn how to do a new skill or learn something that I need to work on in myself so that I better provide for other people, so that I better give value. When I tell people that, some people think I'm crazy. In fact, one of my best friends, or one of my significant other's best friends, she is an excellent saver. When I talk to her about going to investing and becoming a part of a mastermind or a group or going to a conference, she completely loses it when I tell her the price tag. But yet and still, my income keeps growing, my investments grow, my opportunities grow. So the first place you have to invest to grow your money is to invest in yourself. Learn a new skill, learn a new characteristic that you can bring and apply to your customer. And if you are working a job where you only have one customer, because that's the only difference that separates you from what we call a business or quote unquote an employee, is the amount of customers you have. If you've got one customer and you're quote unquote an employee, and you improve your ability to provide skill, you improve your ability to take on more work, to be more efficient, to provide more value to the customer, to help them get what they want, they're going to put you in a position to help them do more of that. That is why the CEO makes all the money. The CEO is managing literally thousands or hundreds of thousands of people in some case. And they get paid big money to do that because their job is to grow the bottom line and provide more value to the company. So the first place is to invest in yourself. So you save up some money and you're keeping some of the money, and maybe the first investment you need to make is a trip to a conference or someplace to acquire a skill, or to buy an online program, or to hire a coach who helps see you from the outside. You can see you from the inside, right? But somebody can see you from the outside and call you on your bullshit where you're lacking. And you might have to talk to somebody who can put you in a position to do that. The second place, because we're going to have this conversation again, I'm getting on a plane soon, and I'm going to be coming to you live next week from a whole nother country, so that's going to be fun for me. But the next thing you need to learn how to do is to invest in equities or assets. You want to put yourself in a position where you invest in things that will grow in value, okay? So that's grow in value. That's the very basic minimum of making investments. You at very minimum needed to grow in value. What does that? Sometimes that's stocks, sometimes that's real estate, sometimes that's business, and you are thinking from the mindset of at a future day, this thing will grow in value so that at the very minimum I can beat inflation. Because money is always eroding in value because they're always printing more money. The more people that come on earth, the more they print, the more people that have it, the less valuable it is. Value in a lot of ways when it comes to money especially, or currency especially, is determined by supply and demand. I have this conversation with my clients all the time when they say, why are real estate prices going up so much? It always breaks down to the same economics. There is high demand and low supply, so prices go up. When there is low demand and high supply, prices go down. So the more valuable you make yourself, the more in demand you make yourself. The more in demand you make yourself, the more money you can acquire. The same is true of assets. As you go through time, people need housing. People want ownership in companies that'll grow because they need a place for their money to grow. People want to, they might buy a bond, for instance, which is they're loaning a company or government money. So you want to learn how to invest in equities, And the second thing you want to learn how to invest, or the third thing I should say you want to learn how to invest in, is assets. Assets, as defined by, let's say, for instance, Robert Kiyosaki in his book, the Cash Flow Quadrant. Assets are things that produce cash. You need to invest in things that produce cash. There are a lot of people who've been investing in 401ks, which is a great thing. But there's a misnomer that at some point in the future, when you've got $400,000 or $500,000 set aside in this account, you're going to be able to retire. Let's just imagine if that 401k didn't keep growing. Now they do, but let's just imagine that they don't, because a lot of times when you get older, they tell you to switch to less risky investments. So those may grow slower. So let's imagine they say, hey, take the money. You got $400,000, $500,000, set it aside. You're 65 now. You retire. You retire, and for the rest of your life, you're supposed to spend that money until it basically goes to zero. That is no longer an asset. That is just a depreciating cash that's sitting around, losing value, and you're using it as you go. Assets are where you invest in things that produce you cash. What are some of those things that you can invest in that produce you cash? And this is about where we're going to end it. One, you can do real estate. I'm in real estate. As you know, many millionaires and billionaires have been made in the real estate game because people always need a place to stay. And not everybody can put their situations together and follow these tenets that I'm talking about to be able to purchase or acquire real estate. So some people are going to have to rent, or quite frankly, some people move around a lot and they need to just rent. There's so many ways with real estate that you can earn money in today's world with technology. It's incredible. It's unfathomable. At some point in the future, we'll have more guests that'll talk a lot about different ways you can make money with real estate. But for right now, let's just say you can rent real estate. Okay? Another thing you can invest in are dividend-paying stocks. Stocks are like, say for instance, you want to own shares of Ford. For every share of Ford, they produce a dividend, which means a payout every quarter, or virtually every quarter, except when maybe they take a loss. They pay out these dividends, and you just collect the dividends. Third thing you can invest in is a small business locally that you know. You can invest in somebody else's business. Maybe somebody needs help with funding, and you're part of the equity portion where you help them fund. They've got a talent, a skill. They can do something on the side while they're working. They can earn money, something that you don't want to do or you couldn't do, and maybe you invest $1,000 into somebody making gift baskets, for instance, and you take a percentage of the profit. You're an investor in the business, and you take some of the cash flow as it comes in. So just to recap, you can invest in real estate. You can invest in businesses. You can invest in stocks. Those are three big things that you can look at investing in that can produce you cash, and those things that can produce you cash flow, we call an asset. So those are some things that I want you to think about over this next week. One, invest in yourself. Grow your ability and your skills to be able to bring in more income, to have more customers pay you, or to have that one customer you have that you used to call a boss, have them pay you more money for what you do. Two, you got to be able to invest in appreciation, equity, something like, maybe real estate, and maybe you're looking at it from the speculation that it'll go up in value, or stocks that don't pay dividends, or maybe you invest in art, or you invest in cars. Those are some of the things you can invest in that may not necessarily produce cash, but you expect to go up in value. And the third thing we talked about is investing in assets. And as we define it here today, assets are things that are going to produce you cash flow. Those are going to be dividends. Those can be rental real estate. That can be small businesses, in which that is another form of dividends. But a lot of people, when they think dividends, they think of the big stocks, the big companies. But you can also invest in small local businesses. So those are just a few ideas, but those are some of the ways that you grow your money. And it's important that you start thinking of the reason why you would want to grow money, because if you don't think of the reason why, it becomes very difficult to take that extra step to invest and divert money that you would use to go out and have a good time to some place that is going to grow for a future day that will come around, most assuredly, right? The future is going to happen one way or another. And the question is always whether or not you're going to be prepared for it. Now, I'm Chris Willa Williams. I'm a residential real estate agent, working a little bit of commercial, primarily here in Metro Atlanta. We're growing in different places. And the big place that I want to grow in is helping my community to better understand how to build wealth. And some part of this is, they say, when you teach it, you learn it even better. So I feel like I can never stop learning better how to grow wealth. So hopefully you've been benefited, you've grabbed something from this, and I hope you join us for our next lesson, which will be how to protect money. And we just had a financial advisor come in to talk a little bit about some of the ways that that happens, and in a future date, we're going to invite her to come on to our live stream. And so I think that should be fun for everybody. And then eventually we'll get around to our fifth tenet, which is giving, right? Giving completes the cycle. Giving completes the cycle. So it's earn money, keep money, grow money, protect money, and then give money. So hopefully I'll see you in the future one. I hope you find some benefit. If you got any questions, please send us a DM. And as always, if I don't have the answer, I'm going to connect you to the professionals that do have the answer. That way you're getting the best information and not just getting all this wild ass information that's out here on Facebook or out here on YouTube or wherever else you find. So see you in a future event. Next time, I'll come at you live from Italy.